Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. This is the first podcast for counselors that just don't align with the traditional approaches to business and that want to use their spiritual gifts, talents, and interests to create, you guessed it, a private practice with soul. So, look, leave it to me to provide you with everything you need, including strategies that you can use to increase your income, reduce your workload, and of course, increase inquiries and referrals to your beautiful soul-led private practice. I love it so much. If you haven't done it already, grab your journal, grab your pen, and let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm so thankful and grateful that you're here with me this morning. So I'm just going to dive right in and give you, first of all, a little bit of an update about what's happening sort of behind the scenes here at Private Practice with Soul. What's happening here is we now have the memberships going, and as you know, you've been sort of part of this whole journey, and we have had a couple of little hiccups with member portals and people having some issues with their logins and stuff like that, but it's sorted. So we're kind of, there was this period for 2 or 3 days that people were like, I can't log in, or, my content isn't showing, where is it, and stuff like this. But all of that's sorted now. I think the interesting thing is, when you start a new project, despite your best of intentions and you think you've ticked every box and dotted I's and crossed T's, there's always going to be a few hiccups, right? And you can't let yourself be taken out by those. Luckily for me, it's all my dreamiest clients that joined, and they're very, very understanding that it is a brand new program and that there were going to be some hiccups, but they've been sorted out now. And that's all good, and everyone's able to access their content. They're all starting to work through it. We've got our first calls in both groups coming up. So this is for the Success Hub and for the Inner Circle. And also there's a big training that's happening, I think it's next week, for one of the memberships on writing case notes and progress notes and what needs to go in them and what doesn't, and how you write, quote unquote good ones, and, what makes a good case note, and, all of that sort of stuff, because people want to know. And of course, we also have people in the group that want to know because they, work with client demographics that they advocate for, that they want to write good quality reports for lawyers and court cases and things like that. So we need to make sure that all the progress notes are good and up to date and, contain relevant information and not too much. But there's all this other stuff too about what do you release when you release a report, what I'm trying to say here is about redaction and third parties and stuff like that. So we're going to go into all of that as well. So that's happening next week. And yeah, it's just so much fun. But I guess for me, being behind the scenes as someone who, it's been like this big lot of energy over the last few weeks. What's happening at home at the moment is I actually hire a hubby here, and I asked him to paint a ceiling. Well, anyway, paint the ceilings in the whole house because they just needed doing. They haven't been done in 20 years. And I was just like, we've got to do something about these ceilings. So anyway, he's over here doing that. And it's meant that for 1 or 2 days, I couldn't get into my study. And because the paint fumes were so strong. Like the first day it was all sort of repairing little cracks in the ceilings and plastering and sanding and doing all of that. And then the second day it was putting on the primer and a first coat. And then he's got to come in here again today and do the second coat. But it's just like paint fumes everywhere, dust everywhere. And it meant, I couldn't get in here to do any work. So I was forced by the universe to not be in front of my computer. And that's been actually really interesting because the masculine energy in me struggles with not working because I knew I had things that I wanted to do. However, there was also part of the masculine in me that was like, this is great. I've kind of got permission just to have an afternoon off or 2 afternoons off. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this afternoon off as well. If the ceiling doesn't get painted today, it'll get painted Thursday afternoon. So I know I've got an afternoon coming to me, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. I didn't realize how much I just wanted to like sit and watch bad TV. One of my favorite things to watch on TV is B-grade movies that were made in the 80s and the 90s. I love that so much. I really appreciate a bad movie. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. What am I talking about today? Okay, yes, this theme is the current one that's popping up this week with clients, and that's the theme of I'm doing all of the things, but I'm not getting any inquiries. Now, okay, there's a couple of things I want to share with you. First of all, when you say you're doing all of the things, you need to be doing all of the things, right? So that means you need to be coachable, and that doesn't mean that, well, to give you an example, it doesn't mean that you get given the tools and the techniques and the strategies and the PDFs and all of the thing, and then you go and do your own thing anyway and say it's not working. You have to implement the things that have been given to you in order to see if they're going to work for you or not. And I think it's so interesting because this is, as I said, it's been coming up a little bit, like giving people the tools that, well, I know work because they work for me. Like my big thing at the moment is the penny just seems to have dropped for me with Instagram. Now, you all know me as a Facebook person. I'm not really an Instagram person, but the penny seems to have dropped for me in terms of for myself, for my own profiles, what my dreamiest audience want to hear from me. And so I've been posting different types of content, and I'm super duper excited because for the last, I guess, about 2 or 3 weeks, because I'm using, I test all of the strategies I give people in Clients on Demand, for example, and in the hubs and their inner circle. So, periodically I want to go back to that and test it and make sure it's still working. And so this is what I did as we were sort of mid-launch. I thought, oh yeah, it might be a good idea myself to go back through this. And anyway, so I went through it and I realized that my content had deviated from my original plan. It was just not a conscious thing, but you could definitely see my plan looked very different to what I had been posting. Anyway, so I needed to update it. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I followed my original plan and I updated it, and get this, my Instagram has just kind of, well, for me, exploded because, as I said, I'm not really an Instagram person. But when I say exploded, get this, like, you know how I always say to you that likes and follows don't equal inquiries and bookings. Like, never, ever, ever be chasing the likes, never, ever be chasing the follows. Like, that's not what it's about. You only need one person to read your post, have it resonate for them, and then they're going to reach out to you, right? You could have, and I know practice owners that have thousands of people following them that never engage or that never reach out and make an appointment or make an inquiry. I know that in our, in all the communities that we work with, whether your dream audience is, perinatal, or whether your audience is EAP or something like that, it doesn't matter how many people are going to like your posts. Like, it's really about how many are actually going to make an inquiry, make a booking. But here's the other thing, right? When I say my Instagram exploded, this is what I'm referring to, right? So I never have thousands of people liking my posts or anything like that. And to be entirely transparent with you, I have never really posted much, if anything, that's resulted in anybody saving a post. And maybe that's part of the reason why I was just not a fan of Instagram. I never understood it. Anyway, so I start using my marketing plan, right? And updating everything. And I schedule these posts to go out, and I make up this content. Like, I revisit my dreamiest clients. So when we're working in Clients on Demand, we go right into so much depth and detail about your dreamiest clients. So then I went back to that, had a look at it, needed to update it. This is what I mean. Like, you never just have a marketing plan plan and leave it. You've got to keep revisiting it, because you change. When you change, your energy changes, your clients change, right? So I had to do a bit of an update with that. I created some new content, put it out there. Well, the first post has like 30 saves. Now, you might be thinking, who cares if you got a save? Like, nobody knows if it got saved or not. But I can screenshot it and show you if you want proof. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the save is super, 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 super valuable when it comes to your metrics on Instagram. And here's why. Save is a hidden metric, as is something else. I'm just going to have a quick look at my Instagram now. Sorry, I always do this to you, don't I? I always say, oh, I'm just going to go and have a quick look at that. So you find out who saved your post by looking at your post in your feed, and underneath that it will say View Insights in blue. So tap View Insights, go and have a look, and you can see likes, so that's represented by the heart, comments, and then that's got a chat bubble. There's one that looks like a paper airplane, and that means how many shares your post had. And then there's one that looks like a bookmark, and that means saved. Right, so the two that you don't see on Instagram are saved and share. You see the comments and you see the likes, unless you do what I do and hide likes on every post, because I don't want, like, I've got a thing about, I don't want people feeling bad because they're not getting a certain number of likes. And do you remember all that stuff happened a while ago with, not in our industry as practitioners, but maybe with some of our client groups that some of us work with? There was that whole spate of, I think it was teenage girls, and they were getting all worried about how many likes they had, and they started pushing boundaries and doing some things that might not have been safe. And so eventually Instagram said, well, we're going to remove the likes or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, these two metrics you can't see. But the reason that a save is so important is because it's hidden. And second, because Instagram algorithms do notice every single save, and you get rewarded every time someone saves your post, you see. And when I say rewarded, I mean that Instagram says, this person's putting out some good quality stuff here. In fact, we might start sharing this to some more people, but let's send it out to a couple of hundred more and just see if anybody else saves it. And then somebody else will save it. And then Instagram says, oh, okay, well, we'll send it out to a few more hundred or a few more thousand. We'll see how many. So Instagram says, okay, you are putting out valuable content to your audience every single time it gets saved. And yeah, you get more reach every single time. And Instagram starts to love you more. And this is super important, because if you want to advertise, on Facebook, which that's the process for advertising on Instagram, it means that you pay less, because the algorithm already says, well, whatever this person is putting out is going to be valuable, which means it's good for Facebook and Instagram, like it's good for us, because we're going to get, this, that, and the other, keep people on our platforms and all of that sort of jazz. And so you get rewarded by paying less to run your advertisements, if you choose to run advertisements, which you don't need to do. But anyway, so that's that. So anyway, and now, like, I'm obsessed. I keep going and checking, like every hour I'm checking View Insights to see how many more saves and stuff like that. But here's what I want you to know as well. Like, one of my posts has, this is honest to goodness, right? I'll just read you my stats. So I put up a little post for my dreamiest clients, which is you, about, some things that you can claim back on your tax this year, and giving you some ideas around what that could look like. And I included some random ones that you probably don't know about. Like, did you know that you can claim your vet bills or part of them. You can claim anything for your dog. If you've got a trained dog that's that's fully certified and stuff like that as a therapy dog. So not just your pet that you take to work. You can't claim anything for that. But if you've got a dog that went to a training program to be a therapy dog or an AAT dog, for example, or horse, if you're doing equine and stuff like that, if you've done the training and this animal is being used in the workplace for work with your clients, you can claim everything. Like, I can't claim much for Gabe anymore because we're doing online stuff and I'm not working with children anymore. And he was trained in AAT to work with children that had autism. So obviously we're not doing that anymore and I can't claim for him. But back in the day, like a few years ago, pre-COVID, I claimed everything. I claimed vet bills, medicine, flea pills and tablets and potions, shampoo, grooming, nail clips, extra training, leads, harnesses, toys. Yes, we did have costumes. He did have a little cape. Anything like that, I was claiming. Even a portion of his food while he was at work was getting claimed. So if you have a trained, qualified dog, so not a pet that you're just taking to the office, calling it therapy, but if you've actually had one trained, then speak to your accountant because you can claim percentages back for everything that you spend on that pet. So anyway, I wanted to include some interesting information about tax and everything. And then what happened was, this was really rare for me as well. I just wanted to tell you this because I think it's going to help you, because I just want to demystify everything, all right? So it's got, currently as I'm looking at it now, it's got 44 hearts, right? It's got 10 comments. Now that's a record for me, but it's got 10 comments. It's got 2 shares, also a record for me, and it's had 26 saves, and I only posted it last night. And so what I want you to know, the other thing too is, right, since I've been posting different types of content, what's my other one? Because this is all just new, right? The other one that I had was like, why your clients aren't booking. Now that had 43 hearts, 7 comments, 1 share, and also 26 saves. Again, this is like, I'm just telling you, like for me, it feels like my stuff's exploding. I feel like I finally nailed Instagram. I did another one that was like not self-care, but like what to do when you have a bad day in private practice. Again, it's got 20 likes, 5 comments, 2 shares, 3 saves. So, and then, what else? We've got another one here. 26 hearts, no comments, no shares, and 17 saves. So my save metric has just gone right through the roof. The other thing is I've acquired 135 new followers since I've updated how I'm posting. And I did that. Well, when did I start this new posting? 5 days ago. So that's really good. And then the other thing is I've had 2 new people sign up to work with me. So what I want you to know is, and that's on those, they look like low figures, don't they? Only 43 hearts or 44 hearts and 26 saves. They look like low figures. But what I want you to know is you don't need bucket loads of likes and shares and follows and everything to attract a client. Your dream client is going to see, you know your stuff, you know what you're talking about, you can help them, and they're going to approach you, right? All that we're doing with social media is warming people up by building that relationship, building that connection. And yes, sometimes it can feel very one-sided, like you're doing a lot of the giving. And so you need to be in the masculine energy. But hey, guess what? When people start engaging and commenting and saving, that's when you can then move into the feminine. And that's when we focus on building those relationships, nurturing those relationships, all of that sort of stuff. So don't get hung up. You're not chasing likes. You're not chasing follows. You're chasing saves. And anyway, to help you with this, because I want you to get amazing results, and I want you attracting clients as well, and I want you being favored by Instagram and Facebook. And so anyway, what I've done this week is I created you a social media marketing planner. And guess what? It's fillable. That was some of the feedback from one of the groups. I think it was in the Success Hub. Somebody was saying, oh my gosh, there's so many resources in here and I want to print everything off. But is there a way that we can make it fillable so I don't run through my printer cartridge? So Jules and I have been madly working behind the scenes to make sure as much of the content in Clients on Demand, the Inner Circle, and the Success Hub are fillable. So yeah, I've made the marketing planner for you, totally fillable. It's 45 pages and it takes you through my brand new process for my brand new process for, I've just lost my train of thought, how I want to say it, for getting more saves. That's what I want you to be focusing on. Because I think when you do this and you're intentional in terms of saves, it's going to shift what you want to share with your audience. Because here's the thing, when your audience start seeing you as a resource, they're going to start saving and then they're going to start doing all of the things. Okay. And I want that for you. So anyway, the planner will be available soon. I think it's just going to be $17. But if you're in the Inner Circle, that will be given to you tomorrow. And it's also going to be gifted to everybody in Clients on Demand. But everyone else, yeah, you'll be able to get it for about $17. I think it should go out for sale, I don't know, the next 2 weeks or so. I've just sent it out now to get some feedback just to make sure, because you know me, like I want to dot I's and cross T's, but what if I've got a typo in there? That'd be really annoying. Or what if a link doesn't work? So I've sent it out to 10 people for testing. So let me just wait until I've got their feedback. I'll update anything that needs updating, and then I'll get it out to you and I'll let you know when it's available. But the other thing too is whatever you focus on is going to grow. So if you're not focusing on your marketing, if you're doing ad hoc marketing, and you're just like, oh, here's a quote, oh, here's this, here's that, and you're just posting very vague general stuff, yeah, people like it, but nobody's going to book an appointment with you because they don't see the value that you're providing. So I believe, in my experience just recently with this, me revisiting my own marketing and updating that, I feel like it's allowed me to get an even deeper understanding of what my clients want. Because to be totally honest with you, as I said, my Instagram was hopeless. As I said, I'm not an Instagram person. I used to get all my clients I do get nearly 100% of my clients come either through the podcast or through Facebook. However, now in just the 4 days that I've been using my new and updated content plan, I've had 2 full fee paying clients come through. So do you know what I mean? Like, it's really important that your marketing and your marketing metrics are something that you're focusing on. And the other thing too, as I started saying when we connected today, was you actually need to implement what you're being given. It's not enough to, I don't know, let's say you get a copy of the marketing plan, right? And you read it and you go, oh yeah, that's really interesting. And you take a few tips from it, but you don't actually make any real change. Well, there's no point saying it doesn't work and you're doing everything, because you're not. In order to be able to get results, you have to be willing to trust the process. This is the feminine, right? You have to be willing to trust the process, surrender into it. Allow yourself space. So no rushing, space to just sit down and connect with your audience, and do that through this transformational copywriting that you learn, like in Clients on Demand or in the Inner Circle and stuff like that, or with this marketing planner even, and allow yourself to go there. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing bad is going to happen. At the moment, you're not really getting any traction anyway. So, yeah, there's no room really for anything bad to happen. And so the other thing that I wanted to share with you was the doing, right? The doing is only 5% of what's going to make you successful in not just private practice, but in any business that you might have. Because it's your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. It's that 95% that sits in the subconscious that's got much more influence over what happens in, your reality, in your external world. So if you've been given a process or a structure or a strategy, but you don't believe it's going to work, do you think it's going to work? It won't. And if you don't believe that it's going to work, if you don't believe that you will get a client, then you're not going to think that this will work. And so you're going to tweak it. You're going to put your own spin on it. And guess what? It's not going to work. So it's kind of like in psychology, we might call this a self-fulfilling prophecy or something. In the spiritual language, we might talk about this in terms of vibration, right? So it's not so much about what you're doing, it's about the vibration that you're putting out there in the world. So I want you to really think about, if you have been given the tools and the structures and the strategies and they have not worked, is there something coming up for you with your inner world? Are you believing that it's possible for you to get work? Are you fearing success? There was a lady I was speaking to recently, and she said she hadn't been doing all of the things because there was this deep belief in her that if she did all the things, that all of a sudden her diary was going to overflow with clients and it would be too much, and it would be a lot of responsibility. It would be like so much work. She was going to be exhausted. She was going to hate it. So she didn't do the things that we'd spoken about. And so it was really helpful to look at, what was going on behind the scenes for her. Somebody else said to me, I have trouble accepting things, and, accepting an inquiry call. Like, there's a fear around, what if I, put my stuff out there, Brooklyn, somebody does actually call me. I don't know what to say on the phone. And then maybe they'll say, I know what to say on the phone, but what if they don't want to pay me? Like, what if they're not happy about my fee, or they want to negotiate my fee? What then? And so they're not putting themselves out there to receive referrals because there are all these kind of hidden fears going on beneath the surface. And then they'll say, yeah, marketing doesn't work for me. It's not that the marketing doesn't work. It's that you have to adopt a mindset of this can work, and you have to be in a space where you're ready to receive safely for you. And that might mean looking at, well, let's put a structure around how you want to have your calls. Let's do some mindset work here around your fee and dealing with some of that sort of stuff first, and then launch your marketing. And then you'll be much more comfortable receiving inquiries and calls and things like that. And lastly, if you're posting your stuff on social media and you're doing it from a place of desperation, like you're posting your stuff out there, you're posting the groups, you're updating your website, you're on Psychology Today, you're on Talked, you're on Bark, you're on, naturaltherapypages.com or whatever you're on, and you're in groups saying, where else do I need to be? Here's the thing, it's not about where else do you need to be. You only need to be on one platform. But you need to be allowing yourself to receive. And if you're busy doing all of the things, you're not calming down enough to receive. You're not going to receive an inquiry, a saved post, a email, a booking, a referral. You're not going to receive because you can't. They're mutually exclusive energies in some ways. So you have to take your foot off the accelerator and just step back. The other thing to pay attention to energetically is, if you're desperate, if you're like in that scarcity, I need it now, it better happen now or else energy, that's actually going to mean that you stay in that energy. If you want to receive paying clients, you need to look at your own life at where you're not paying for things, or where you're looking for free options, or where you're looking for cheap options, and you need to stop doing that, because you're not, when you do those, when you engage in those behaviors, you're not becoming a vibrational match to paying clients. You're becoming a vibrational match to freebie seekers, to tire kickers, to people who say, I'll think about it. If you're one of those people, you're going to attract those people. So you need to really stop and reflect and think, if I'm desperate here and I'm pushing and rushing and what energy am I putting out to the world? And is that likely to push people away from me, or is it likely to pull people toward me? And here's the thing, if you're posting from that desperate energy, it's repellent. People are going to sense that, and they're going to lean away. They're going to lean back. But if you lean back, then your clients will come to you. It's like, now, I know I don't want to upset any apple carts here, and I don't mean anything bad by this, total disclaimer, but I just want to give an example here. Like, if I lean forward to Gabe, initially he's going to take a step or two back, and then he'll come forward and kiss me. If I do the opposite and I take a step or two away from Gabe, he's going to take a step or two toward me. This is what happens energetically with your marketing as well. If you're pushing and you're desperate, and that your audience is going to take a step or two away from you because they don't want to be in that space. But if you lean back a little, and what leaning back a little looks like is, instead of posting, maybe you just comment and help people on their posts. You just be supportive and just give them tips or give them guidance, or just be a good person, like be a good human and just be supportive of people in their comments. That's leaning back. And then people are going to approach you and say, hey, you seem to know a lot about this. What do you do? That's how you start a conversation. That's how you build that relationship. And then guess what? Next thing you know, you have somebody there that you can legitimately help, that you haven't had to sell to, because you've not been in that pushing energy. But you have to allow yourself to trust that this works and trust that you can go there. So that's your homework for this week. I want you really to tune in. If you're doing all of the things and you're posting, you're not getting referrals or clients or inquiries, I want you to really ask yourself, what energy is behind this for me? And maybe if you have not been being intentional, start to be intentional with your posting. And by that I mean, don't say, I set the intention to get a client. No, because when you do that, you're in lack, right? I would post from a position of abundance and just not have anything to do with wanting to get clients. I would just say, I set the intention to be helpful. I set the intention to be kind and caring, this month with my posts. I set the intention to be my feminine with my posts this month. It's you. When you become yourself and you allow yourself to embody the feminine energy, you receive referrals through your radiance. And that radiance comes through in the way that you talk, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you write, in the pictures that you post, and all of that sort of stuff. So get out of the masculine, allow yourself to spend some time this month in the feminine, and just see what happens. And yeah, as I said, if you're in the Clients on Demand or the Inner Circle, you also have that social media marketing planner now to help you with those things. Everybody else, you'll be able to get it in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know when it's around, and you can have a look at it. And do you know what? If it's for you, grab it. If it's not, that's fine too. I hope that this was a helpful episode. I just want you to start thinking, if you're in that space of not getting referrals, instead of thinking, what could I do differently? Start asking, who could I be differently? Yeah, what version of me do I need to be, that receives referrals? And how can I start to embody that version of myself now? What would trust and surrender look like? If I totally trusted and surrendered to my strategy, what would that look like? What would I be doing differently? Okay. So I hope this was super duper helpful. If you need anything, of course, just reach out to me on Instagram at the Private Practice Coach, or you know how to find me in the groups on Facebook. I'll see you soon. Happy Wednesday. See you on Saturday, everyone. Bye for now. I hope that you loved this episode as much as I loved putting it together for you. To get more resources to help you in your private practice, head over to Instagram. My handle is @theprivatepracticecoach. And also, if you want more inquiries and referrals for your business, let me know. I have a program called Clients on Demand that opens every quarter, and I can absolutely get you some information for that as well. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Bye.